The Gaza War divided Israelis after the October 7th attacks as it shattered their sense of security. Stunned by the massive security and military failures, many demanded Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to stand down. But the attacks also crushed the myth that Netanyahu has cultivated for decades as Mr. Security. Now, there is a majority of Israelis that want him out.
He brought us to October 7th. He failed to protect the state of Israel on October 7th. He abandoned the Israeli hostages and communities along Gaza on October 7th. And since October 7th, his government has been dysfunctional. It's a political, right-wing, messianic, extremist government which is incapable of making decisions for the betterment of the country.
Many accuse Netanyahu of putting his own political and personal interests ahead of the country.
Netanyahu has put his political career on the altar of this war and the hostages, and has been, until today, willing to sacrifice most of the hostages when there have been deals on the table, always deflecting and saying Hamas is the problem, when in fact, the Israeli negotiators, the senior negotiators, have told me that it's Netanyahu who doesn't want to end the war.
Over the last 20 years or so, far-right settler movements have moved from an outlier on the fringes of Israeli politics to the central focus of Israeli politics. Netanyahu helped push Israeli society to the right, and for the sake of staying in power, has aligned himself with them too.
They are not the favorite here in Israel. Part of the criticism on Netanyahu is that the first time he brought them into the government. And probably the change is because of his, I would say, peculiar personal situation vis-a-vis the court and his trial.
Not a Saturday night passes without thousands of protesters taking to the streets of Israel's commercial hub, Tel Aviv, and sometimes other cities, demanding Netanyahu's resignation, new elections, and ceasefire deal with Hamas that would secure the release of the captives.
If he was someone that doesn't put his own interests above all, he should have called for elections. I think this was the right way to do it, because the government needs a new mandate, a new trust after the failure of October 7th. Absolutely, he needs to do it. I think the majority of Israel understand it, but he also understands, Netanyahu, that if elections takes place now, he will lose. This is why he clings to the power.
The assassination of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah and other senior commanders has given Netanyahu a pump in the polls. Here's Gershon Paskin again.
Netanyahu got a spike in the polls because of the killing of Nasrallah and the military successes, perceived military successes in Lebanon over the last couple of weeks. But remember, a poll is a snapshot of a moment, and it doesn't mean that his rise in the poll is going to remain. We will return back to the reality that his government is dysfunctional, that he's a liar, that he is not Mr. Security, he is not Mr. Economy, he is not Mr. Israel.
While political change looks unlikely in 2024, the pressure on Netanyahu continues as anti-government demonstrators vow to keep the pressure until change is made. Mohammad Al-Kassim, TRT World, West Jerusalem.